is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
That Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion, but I've only won one of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith criticized Floyd Mayweather for downplaying Terence Crawford's win over Canelo. Smith emphasized that Crawford made history, achieving something no other fighter has by becoming undisputed in multiple weight classes. He highlighted that Crawford earned his legacy through dedication and hard work, deserving full respect rather than skepticism. Smith pointed out that the victory against Canelo was more than just another fight. It was a defining moment that cemented Crawford among the greatest fighters of all time. He stressed that Mayweather's negative remarks should not diminish Crawford's accomplishments.
Best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Mayweather offered strong opinions on Crawford's upset over Canelo, noting that the loss will always be part of Canelo's legacy. He pointed out that Canelo had been the undisputed king of his weight class, commanding full respect and control over his opponents. Yet he was defeated by a fighter who moved up in weight and entered his domain without hesitation. For Mayweather, this wasn't just a minor setback. It was a defining mark that will forever be linked to Canelo's name in boxing history. He added that the greatest champions are remembered for their pivotal moments in their prime. And for Canelo, that moment came as a tough defeat at the hands of Crawford.
Either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on, because even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever in an absolute master. In Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, it kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Stephen A. Smith was thoroughly impressed by Crawford's victory and didn't hold back in praising him. He mentioned being present in person for the historic night, which made the achievement even more significant to him. Smith highlighted that no fighter in boxing history has matched what Terence Crawford accomplished, moving up in weight and convincingly defeating a dominant champion like Canelo. He called it a career-defining moment that sets Crawford apart and ensures this night will be remembered for years. For Smith, it wasn't just another fight. It marked a major shift in how true greatness is recognized in boxing.
Was Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Crawford's trainer spoke decisively after the fight, stating that his fighter has nothing left to prove. He emphasized that Terence has reached a level where his respect should be unquestioned, yet some critics still refuse to acknowledge it. That tension highlighted that even after dismantling one of boxing's biggest stars, Crawford is still contending with opinions outside the ring. The trainer added that Terence isn't focused on another fight at the moment, because what he accomplished against Canelo is more than enough to cement his place among the elite. For Crawford, this moment isn't about chasing big names. It's about building a legacy that cannot be ignored.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24,
Timothy Bradley offered one of the most decisive takes by placing Crawford alongside Floyd Mayweather. He stated that Crawford's name now belongs at the very top of any greatest of all time conversation. For Bradley, this was more than just a victory over Canelo. It redefined what it means to hold the pound-for-pound crown. He pointed out that while Mayweather dominated his era with skill and precision, Crawford demonstrated he could reach an even higher level by moving up in weight and defeating Canelo at his peak. In Bradley's opinion, that triumph elevated Crawford into a class reserved only for boxing's true legends.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Roy Jones Jr. offered a measured perspective, pointing out that when Floyd Mayweather faced Canelo years ago, Canelo was still young and developing, whereas this time both fighters were in their prime. He explained that Floyd benefited from facing a less experienced version of Canelo, making it easier to control the fight with skill and ring IQ. Crawford, however, stepped into the ring against a seasoned and fully developed Canelo, who had dominated his division for years. Despite being the naturally smaller fighter, Crawford still broke him down and took command. For Roy, that fact alone makes the victory significant, as Crawford overcame a stronger, smarter, and more polished Canelo than the one Mayweather faced.
Great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does, and the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to fight it, and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think it's going to decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we'd have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Duke McKenzie was stunned by what unfolded in the ring. He noted that Canelo had no answer for Crawford's relentless pressure, speed, and precision. He described the performance as remarkable and exceptional, calling it one of the most complete displays in modern boxing. McKenzie highlighted that Crawford not only became undisputed but also proved he is almost unbeatable, even against the toughest opponents. His comments reflected deep admiration and respect, emphasizing that Crawford has set a standard so high that very few, if any, fighters are likely to reach it.
That feeling, do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build-up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run-up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. There's a discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs. You know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close around, knowing how to win rounds.
Trainer Robert Garcia delivered a strong endorsement of Crawford's greatness, stating that in this scenario, Crawford achieved more than Floyd Mayweather. He pointed out that Crawford clearly won 9-10 rounds against Canelo and displayed a relentless drive that Mayweather never faced at such a high level of challenge. Garcia emphasized that Mayweather never moved up to take on and dominate a larger champion, which makes Crawford's victory both historic and exceptional. For Garcia, it wasn't just about titles or statistics. It was about taking bold risks and succeeding, which is what truly separates legends from icons.